Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. We're looking at Bitcoin US dollar index on the hourly time frame, and this looks like a freaking mess. But don't worry, I gotta have this on here to show you what's going on. So, we did bounce off this line here, the white line. That's our upward sloping parallel channel. That is the channel we are reversing into, that we reversed into from the inverse head and shoulders pattern that brought us out of our bull flag pattern. So that's good. We could very well just be oscillating within that channel, hit the bottom, and traveling upwards. But there are some other lines here. And these other lines are, the thicker white line is the most important, the bottom of the most important channel in Bitcoin history. And we did wick through it a little bit right here and a little bit further back here. But we've held it as support clearly right there and are bouncing off of it. The white line is the channel from the upward sloping channel from the inverse head and shoulders. And the orange line is a new line. It's the neckline of a potential head and shoulders pattern that we are forming. It's very interesting that they know where all this stuff is. And so also what's interesting is that when we bounced here, we started upwards in one of my parabolic channels, which is typical. We've come back up and held the center line of the blue parallel channel as support clearly here, which is good. This is all good stuff, because we had fallen through that, and I did not like that. That was not good. That meant that we were going back down to the bottom of that channel. Also, just recently, we've broken back above the top of the daily Gaussian channel, which is this green dotted line, and our previous all-time high from last cycle, 68,997, and are holding that as support. This is all very, very good stuff. So that's why there's all these lines here, and it looks very confusing, but I will try to erase some of them right now. Now, still on the chart, I do have my triangle-induced Bitcoin dream. The crazy dream I had where Bitcoin traveled upwards this way, up above our 73 previous high, and consolidated up here and exploded there. What's really, really funny is I watched this other guy that does Elliott wave theory, and he's as well had a similar option for Bitcoin, 3 different options. One of them was this, and we just did not have enough momentum to make this move. And there were other options he had laid out as well. One was a super dumpy move, which I still have in my gut, which brings us down, way down here. And we'll get into that in a second. And then the third is more, I don't know exactly if his is the same as mine, but it's more sideways action here. Now, there still is this potential, because as I said, this is all looking very, very good here. and we could just continue upwards. I have these new channels here, and we are clearly on the center line. We're clearly following the center line of this channel. And so let's look at these channels. I have a group of channels that are traveling upwards like this. And you can see clearly that we hold these channels, and once we lose them big time. We've held them as support here and had a significant bounce. That one we kind of just went right through, but you can tell that we did stop there briefly on the hour. But it's interesting. When we do lose it, there's always an abrupt action here through the channel. As here, there's always this usually an abrupt action taking us down. It's a very volatile channel. And here, there's an explosion upwards, so it goes both ways. Oh, that's a line right there, but yeah, look at here. We tried to hold it as support, as well. It held as resistance, and then we dumped down big time from there. So there's always these abrupt actions from these. Oh, that's a different center line right there. That's the center line of our channel here that has taken us from our inverse head and shoulders here. It's our inverse head and shoulders, and we are traveling upwards in this white channel here, but also in these blue channels this way. We're always interacting with multiple channels. Let's see if we can. So currently, we reversed out of the inverse head and shoulders, and it looks like we are potentially forming a new head and shoulders pattern. Now, Solana did this months and months ago, and really what it was doing, it was oscillating along a center line, like possibly this white center line here, which is the base of our most important channel in Bitcoin history. We could simply be oscillating below and above this line. And then we come down below it here. Now coming down below it here, I've estimated the channel from the inverse head and shoulders, and it's this green channel right here. This green downward sloping channel here. It's our estimation of the channel that we are currently headed downwards in. And I anchored it on this candle wick here and this candle wick here. And I drug it to the top of price action right here. Now there is one more wick above it a little bit, so I'm not sure about that, but it seems that we have nice interaction with the center line here. So I think that's in the right spot. So as I was saying, this all looks fine and dandy here, but watch. If we start coming down from 69,800-ish, 9 or even 70K, we start coming down this way. And this won't be, so we're on a scrunched up hourly chart here. So currently we are at like 1200 UTC. But just over here, so the intersection of these lines is at 69.8 And that is at 200 UTC Sunday, May 26th, which is 7 o'clock my time. 7 o'clock Saturday night in the Pacific time zone of the United States. So if we start finding resistance in this area and heading back down here, guess what? There's a good chance we're forming this head and shoulders pattern. Now, that does not mean that we are going to that we're gonna dump from it. Let's extend this line to the right. That's what we want to do. This is the neckline of that pattern. As good as I can get it. Here's our left shoulder. Let me get it right there. Just about touches there. And it touches here with a couple wicks through, but I got it on the most, as many points of contact as I could there. And so the thing is, we do not hit this neckline until, well, even possibly sometime on Tuesday. But what we do is we would break down through our previous all-time high. If we do not hold, what's really interesting is these all intersect here. The center line of our blue parallel channel, the top of the daily Gaussian channel, and our 68,997 all-time high from last cycle all intersect right here. And what's interesting is that's Monday morning at what would be market open for the U.S. markets, but it's a holiday. So I think they, or the creators of the Bitcoin chart, potentially may have forgotten that it's a holiday. That's really, really interesting. So we'll just have to, it's really interesting that has occurred there. So anyway, that won't even be until Memorial Day here. So let's watch for that. And then afterwards, there's also the bottom of our white parallel channel, which we're heading up from our inverse head and shoulders in. If we break that, it's more like it's getting more and more likely that we are forming this pattern, and then the neckline would not potentially hit until market open Tuesday morning. And even when we hit that neckline, we will still be above the most important, we'll still be trading within the most important channel in Bitcoin's history. And it won't be until somewhere around 67, 3-ish, that we would break that. What's interesting is right here, wow, that's the end of the day on Tuesday, start of Wednesday. It's really, really interesting that we'll hit the neckline and the center line of one of these upward sloping channels that are very volatile. The open of Asian markets on Wednesday. So we could see a big volatile move downwards through the bottom of our previous all-time channel. So it looks, I guess basically it looks like we're safe for the weekend. We're not going to really do much, and potential volatility could be coming next week. Now, that might not play out. This head and shoulders pattern may not play out, and we continue upwards here. So I guess right now that would be the thing to look for, and I may as well continue on with this video. If we did follow, let me get rid of some more of these lines. All right, so I got rid of some of those lines. Now, the thing is, I just can't get it out of my head that they're going to try to dump us down over one of these weekends. I thought it was going to be this weekend when everybody's drunk and asleep in the middle of the night. But with the current, what I'm currently looking at, it doesn't look like we could make it down here. Even if this was the dealio here, we would not be exiting this until sometime during U.S. market open next week. And the target for our inverse for our head and shoulders pattern here would be, sometime Wednesday, coming down to the bottom of this channel here. Maybe even Thursday or so. So if this were the case, if this were playing out, now where that takes us to is another green line. And what is this green line? This green line is the top of our bull flag pattern channel right here. This channel we've been trading in since March. This very boring downward sloping channel we've been trading in since March. Now we did wake above it, this channel here, a little bit. But other than that, this channel, see the center line here, you can see it clearly is acting as support, and support here. And the bottom of the channel is anchored on these contact points there and up here, which interestingly enough is also our most important channel in Bitcoin history. Here, the intersection of those two, and forming the base of our ascending triangle pattern, which you would only know about if you've watched this channel. So, hitting down in this blue center, in this channel, is bringing us also to the center line of the daily Gaussian channel. We just got above the top of the daily Gaussian channel, and if the head and shoulders plays out, we're coming back into the Gaussian channel down to the center line at minimum, and possibly back into our bull flag channel. That's the dangerous part. If we do that, we're heading towards the neckline of our inverse head and shoulders pattern, which we never met that target. That failed. It got us thus far it failed. It hasn't played out. Now, the target for that is right here, this orange X. We could very well be heading up there to that target at 75K Friday this week. So we're having two options. We could very well be heading up here to up above the center line of our other blue channel, through all this resistance that will be giving us problems, and did give us problems back here. So that would be great. I'd really like to see that. This is the bad case scenario down here, and it has two options. One option is that we come down to and bounce off of here, and then start and form probably an inverse head and shoulders pattern and start heading up in a channel this way, back above, oscillating around the bottom of our most important line and channel in Bitcoin history. Continue that oscillation around here. and coming once again up outside the top of the daily Gaussian channel, heading into the FOMC meeting on the 12th of June. Because we need to wait for Jerome Powell to tell us what to do. And that seems a perfectly reasonable path here. And then more than likely we're going to bounce from here. We could continue back down to the 64K-ish region, which would be the center line of our the mean band of our daily Gaussian channel as well at that point, way off in June, several weeks away. Now, the thing I can't get out of my head is that I know we're super bullish and we're about to bounce, but I also know the games the big players play, and they want to come down and try to liquidate. That's the goal. We gotta, before a big bounce, you gotta get that flush out of the system, out of all the loose hands and the over leveraged players here. And I thought it would be this weekend when everybody's drunk and asleep, but it does not look like we have the potential for that to play out. However, we do have the potential for that to play out next weekend if we do continue down in here, and then we break back down below the mean band of the Gaussian channel and back into our green bull flag channel. And that would be all around 64K. So on the downside, 64K is a big, an important area of support and resistance, or support here around the end of this week if we do continue downwards, and also probably around the FOMC meeting. If those scenarios play out, and we don't got to worry about it if we just continue upwards here. Now, if we do continue upwards here, where do we get that flush out? It's a good question. And maybe there is none. Maybe because there have been a lot of liquidations. And maybe that's just their flush out there. They know they can't dump us down, so they've been doing these other little dumpy things here for so long, over the past month or so, that is liquidating all the over-leveraged people that are really, really extremely over-leveraged. Because I've been seeing that on the charts too. I'm like, these people are nuts with this much leverage this close to price action. It's just stupid. Especially when it was obvious how much they were going after, mostly longs. And now potentially they wreck the shorts. Could very well be. Now, so if there was a flush to the downside, I guess, unless they really want to surprise us and just like go totally out of, catch everybody off guard because it's not following anything that I'm saying, is that if we were just to dump sometime overnight here, that would just be crazy and unexpected. And if we did, possibly we'd be looking for support somewhere around the bottom of our bull flag channel pattern. I have different support lines here. The green is the bottom of our channel. It's around 54 currently, heading down to 53.5, and by the end of the month down to 53. Then there's an orange one below it. The orange line is parallel to the neckline of our inverse head and shoulders pattern. So Just a little bit different targets there. Now, if we did follow this channel and break down into this channel, it wouldn't be till later this week, and after the month had closed, over next weekend, we would break down below the neckline. It would be a failed breakout. It'd be a failed inverse head and shoulders, failing at this neckline here over next weekend, and could result in hitting this target. Oddly enough, the target for our inverse head and shoulders failure is the bottom of the parallel channel. And that would also be breaking down, well, yeah, this is all weeks in the future. Not even next weekend. It could possibly be the following weekend after that. But of course, we'll know well in advance, because if this were the case, because we'd be already traveling down here in this region, down below here in 66, 65, 64, we'd already be traveling in that area. But these would be potential targets way down the line here. So I've just laid out good and not so good and really bad scenarios for Bitcoin. The really bad one doesn't play out until later on, potentially. So I guess even we're safe now this weekend from a dump, unless they just really do something out of the realm of what anybody's or what I'm looking at or what the charts are showing. But so we're looking to hold this as support. If we don't hold our previous all-time high as support, and we even come up here and hit resistance at like 69.8-ish and start heading back down, that means we're forming this head and shoulders pattern more than likely. And it hits the neckline. You know, it even could hit the neckline. Yeah, you know what? It could hit the neckline overnight heading into Memorial Day. But okay, but we have plenty of time till then. I'll make another video before then. We'll see what happens. And if that were the case, then certainly that would be their only chance to catch us off guard this weekend. If we did do that, and then heading into Memorial Day, we continue to dump when everybody's busy doing their things. This would be Memorial morning, the day of Memorial Day. And then we continue to dump here. So let's keep an eye out for that. Yeah, if we do dump sooner, yeah, be really careful, because if this is really over here, and that gives us the power to punch through, not travel in this channel, but punch through it, punch through into the bull flag pattern channel, back down to the neckline of our inverse head and shoulders pattern at 62.7, then we're in trouble. that could be how they played out this weekend. So have fun this weekend, but also keep your eye on what's happening. And now I do want to take a look at what would happen at the end of the month, Friday. So if we did dump down here, well, if we did dump down, we'd dump all the way down here, shoot back up. Who knows where we would end up? I think it'd be really, really quick. It would be a flush out of the system. Probably end up back up here, or even all the way back. Who knows? We could end up anywhere after a move like that. Probably everything get bought up real quickly and get us back up above this level here. So worst case scenario, don't know where we would end up. If we did something like travel downwards in this channel, the end of the month could bring us around 64K, 64, 65K. And if we continued upwards, it could bring us to 75K. So between 64 and 75K, we could end up at the end of the month. We could come down to the bottom of this channel, shoot back up, and be around 69K. 64, 69, or 75, more than likely, is where we'll end up at the end of the month. So here we are looking at a monthly candle chart, but we have all these lines in the way, so we can't really see the wicks. I'm going to switch to a different chart. All right, so here we are on the Coinbase Bitcoin chart on the monthly time frame. And this reminds me, because I do have the 21-week moving average on all the charts, but I didn't see it amongst all the lines on the other chart. That's currently at 58.5K. Now, we're more than likely not going to go through that. If we did, we could wick through it on a real brief basis. So that could get us down to the $50,000 range, 50, 52, 53, something like that. But we really probably don't go below that. So what were the numbers I had? 64, 69, 75. What would a monthly candle look like? 64 would be there. Let's move over. 64 would be around there. So that's what the candle would look like. You'd have one of those, like, not a spinning top, but whatever, some sort of a doji form. It's not a great candle, but not a good candle. 69 would get us about where we're at right now, which isn't a bad candle, but again, not a good candle. And 75 would get us a good candle. Now, what I was looking at earlier would be a bad candle. If we did close around 60,000, that would not be a good candle, a good monthly candle. And you'd be hearing about it all over the place from Gerber Baby. Now, I've often said, excuse me, but I don't put a lot of weight in monthly candles or bi-monthly candles or in any kind of candles like that go off of a monthly system, because months don't fit in with all the other time frames that we use. We use minutes, 60 minutes to an hour. There's always 60 minutes in an hour. There's always 24 hours in a day. There's always 6 4-hour periods in a day. There's always 7 days in a week. We work off of time frames that always are very standard. They always have the same amount of smaller time frames in the larger time frames, and months don't fall into that network. So if we looked at a 4-week chart, we get something totally different. The 4-week time frame that we're trading in right now doesn't even close until 22 days from right now. So it just started really. So that would give us a whole heck of a lot of information. We do see that the one we're coming off of is like this spinning top thing, which is, well, what is it? Or what, it's even like a hanging man. I don't really know the names of all these candles, but the candle we're forming now is heading upwards from there, so that's good. Of course, we did close at 64. Well, this is totally different because we're working on a totally different time frame. It's not several weeks from now, so there's not even any point discussing it. Of course, several weeks from now would be the FOMC meeting. So we could potentially close this candle. Yeah, we could close it around 64. We could close it around 69 or even much higher. So we'd close it where we're at currently or down here. So if we did close this candle at 64 or 65, around there, that would not be good. That would not be looking good. And more than likely, we'd break down from the FOMC meeting. Huh, that's an interesting perspective to look at. But now I'm getting way out there. So let's end this. And let's just look at what this looks like on a 4-week time frame. Wow. Looks very, very short because this is our previous all-time high back here. You look at things like this. Doesn't look like it was that long ago. But when you look at it like this, you can see that we're heading up here somewhere. Now let's just connect these for a second just to see something. You know what, let's make it parallel to that red line. I don't know why that red line's there. Yeah, we could be up around 150. October. Maybe close to 200 in May. I don't know. Okay, so we're just playing around now. Time to go. Like, subscribe, and see you next time. Thanks.